Kensurfs here with another video review. With a View to a Kill poster in the background, you know it's got to be about James Bond. So today we're going to do a comparison, not on the razors that James Bond uses, but how about the watches that he wears. So stay tuned and we're going to compare the James Bond watches. All right, of course, if you haven't guessed yet, it's going to be the Rolex versus the Omega. Now, the Rolex Submariner, this is a 1967 Rolex Submariner. The Rolex Submariner was in the James Bond movies throughout the 60s. All the Sean Connery and a couple of the Roger Moore. Live and Let Die. If you recall, he had a magnet in there that was powerful enough to deflect a bullet, and the bezel could spin around and saw through ropes. Now, the Omega Seamaster, it's been in the James Bond movies since Pierce Brosnan in 1995. It's still used in the Daniel Craig movies, Spectre, except he's went up to a black face and a Planet Ocean. But it's still the Seamaster model. Now, comparing the two, obviously there's a price difference between a Rolex and an Omega. The Rolex is probably a bit more expensive, but both of them are excellent watches. Excellent diving watches. You can do anything in these watches, I mean in the water, and not have to worry about it. This watch, the 1967 watch, it's been snorkeling with me in Hawaii. It's been up into the lakes. It's been all over the place. The only problem with the vintage Rolex Submariners is the crystal. Now, this is a plastic crystal, and if you look, it sticks up above the bezel just a little bit. And that little bit is enough for this crystal to get scratched on things. I've had to replace this 3 times due to scratching it. It's a plastic crystal, and it's not that cheap to replace. Now, this Submariner, obviously someone's going to say, well, this is a Jubilee band. This is what's supposed to be on a dress watch. It came like this when I got it when I turned 30, like 23 years ago. It came just like this. But the band itself is, very comfortable and very flashy. Now, the Omega Seamaster, its crystal is a synthetic sapphire, and it is very flush. It will not scratch as easy as plastic to begin with, and since it's sitting down a little ways flush with the bezel, it doesn't seem to catch on as much things. Now, both of them are very accurate at keeping time. There's no complaints there. And again, this is my opinion. You guys might like one better than the other, but all I can say is from my experience. Now, the Rolex is an attention getter. If you're wearing the Rolex, it's two-tone, so that really that helps too. But it is an attention getter, so people will notice that watch a lot more. But functionality, I've been wearing the Omega because the Omega is it sits very flat. Sits very flat on your wrist compared to the Rolex. Very flat and real comfortable to wear. Now, do I like one better than the other? I'm not going to say, because one of them I got as a gift from my wife and one of them I got from myself, so I'm certainly not going to say that. I do like them both equally. But for a practical everyday watch that you can wear around, the Omega, I definitely would prefer that. The Rolex, more for a fancy occasion, let's say. But these two watches, obviously, James Bond wears them. They're very durable. They're Swiss-made, and both of them have their pluses, and both of them have their minuses. I'm not going to say, like I said, which one is better, but I'm telling you, this one is a lot flashier. This one, I would say, is a lot more practical. and they're just both excellent watches. I highly recommend them. I got mine used. I couldn't afford brand new ones. You seem to get a little better deal when you buy them used. But that's it. I think they both have their merits. They both have their pluses. They both have their negatives. Like I said, the vintage Rolex, the negative on this is the crystal. The negative on the Omega, well, I don't really see any negatives on it yet, but I will certainly keep you updated on it and let you know if I find any. But both are excellent watches, and I highly recommend either of them for somebody considering a Swiss timepiece.